Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Fiber Broadband Association's Fire for Breakfast. We're now in our 8th episode of 2025. Before we kick off, I'd like to thank Wesco, the platinum sponsor of Fire for Breakfast. Well, it was a very busy night last night. The Senate confirmed Howard Lutnick as Secretary of Commerce with a 51 to 45 vote. The timing of this confirmation is critical to rural broadband, as now with Secretary Lutnick in place, Ariel Roth can now be confirmed to head NTIA. The state broadband offices have continued to proceed forward on their BEAD application process, but we'll need Ms. Roth in place at NTIA so she can complete the review of the BEAD program and then also be able to implement her revisions to streamline and accelerate the program. Also in DC, a bipartisan group of senators reintroduced a bill on Tuesday aimed at enhancing oversight of broadband supply chain to prevent disruptions that could hinder federal broadband deployment initiatives. The Network Equipment Transparency, or NET Act, would mandate the FCC evaluate supply chain issues in its Communications Marketplace report to Congress. The bill is sponsored by Senator John Hickenlooper from Colorado and is designed to avoid bottlenecks in the $42.45 billion BEAD program, which is set to begin distributing funds this year for nationwide broadband expansion efforts. The Fiber Broadband Association is reviewing this legislation with our members. Last week, the Fiber Broadband Association held its first regional Fiber Connect workshop this year in San Antonio, Texas. We had record attendance, actually beat our Richmond previous record, with an amazing lineup of speakers and panels. Texas has $3.3 billion in BEAD funds plus another 1.2 billion in state funding. With 9% of Texans currently unserved or underserved with broadband, getting these funds deployed to build that critical fiber infrastructure to rural Texas is really paramount. Our next Fiber Connect workshop is coming up on March 25th in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. This regional event will definitely sell out, so please don't wait to register. Register today. The day after the Philly event, our Fiber Broadband Association's Public Policy Committee will be heading down to Harrisburg, the state capital, to meet with the legislature. So after Philly, we're going to be on April 9th, a Fiber Day on the Hill. We'll have a fly-in the day afterwards. That's always a huge event. Then we'll be in Nashville for our annual big Fiber Connect 2025 annual conference. That's on June 1st to 4th. Then we'll be in Anchorage in July, Toronto in August, so Spokane in September, Scottsdale in October, and Kansas City in November. And then we'll be at our annual premier member meeting in Palm Springs, December 8th and 9th. That brings us today's Five for Breakfast session with Peter Cresse, the president of Entropy, who will be discussing how AI accelerates fiber network value. Before I formally introduce today's guest, I'd like to introduce David Norris from our team, who's going to walk us through some housekeeping items.
Thank you very much, Gary, and good morning to everyone who's joined us today. We appreciate it. Before I go over a few logistics, we'd like to once again thank our platinum sponsor, Fiber for Breakfast, Wesco. Now, please keep in mind all participants are in listen-only mode today, but we do want to hear from you. To ask a question, please type it into the question box, which is located in the upper right-hand side of your screen. We will have a Q&A session with our panelists at the end of today's presentation. This presentation is also being recorded and will be available on FBA's website within 24 to 48 hours, and you can find that recording in the Events tab under the Fiber for Breakfast drop-down option. Finally, at the conclusion of today's presentation, you'll be prompted to complete a brief feedback survey. Please take a moment to do so. We appreciate the input. And with that, I will pass things back over to Gary to get us started. Gary?
Thanks, David, and good morning. I'm Gary Bolton, the president and CEO of the Fiber Broadband Association. Last week on Five for Breakfast, our guest was our good friend, former FCC chairman, Ajit Pai, and he's a partner at Searchlight Capital, who discussed broadband priorities in the new administration, expanding access, speed, and equity. Chairman Pai discussed the top priorities for the new administration and discussed how his private equity firm is so bullish on fiber deployment for its investments. If you missed last week's session, you can go back and watch the replay on our website. Today's Five for Breakfast session, our guest is Peter Cresse, the president of Entropy, who will be discussing how AI accelerates fiber network value. Peter leads Entropy, a technology consulting firm founded in 2003. A former Fortune 50 executive at GE, GTE, Scientific Atlanta, and Intelsat, he has driven AI, media, telecom, and cybersecurity initiatives and innovations worldwide. Entropy has supported startups in streaming, data integration, cybersecurity, and fiber networks, fostering growth in evolving markets. Peter advises companies on AI strategies, data quality, and trusted AI initiatives. His team have implemented major networks and infrastructure projects, including work for Arabsat, Deutsche Telekom, and Moody's Analytics. Having worked in Tokyo, London, Frankfurt, and across the US, he has led telecom and media rollouts in 50 plus countries. He holds degrees from the University of Massachusetts and Central Michigan University, served as an adjunct professor teaching cybersecurity at the University of North Georgia, and is a former U.S. Air Force captain. So welcome, Peter. And for our audience, please type in your questions as you go. And with that, I will turn things over to Peter to get things started.
Thanks, Gary. Good morning, everyone. Lots going on in fiber. One of the things that's happening in fiber very quickly is AI. And so we've heard a lot about AI, but when we start the presentation, the next chart, I can give a quick overview. Next chart. AI models have changed the landscape. Where is the money? The money has been invested in the models. Since 2017 and the introduction in 2020, generally, as we've been working on the models, we've seen billions of dollars put there. So that tied to what's happening on the data side, that data has transformed from big data to massive data to now what I'll describe as RAG data, is created a great opportunity, because the output of the model and data create better decisions and better documents and generated things. That's at a top level. I think we all know that, but we're in not a revolution for AI, we're in a transformation. Next chart. Today, AI is a new workflow. Data is being formed at an incredible rate, but the most exciting thing we'll talk about is RAG data, which is a type of data that can be fenced off and create a better prompt. Retrieval augmented generative data is put into vectors. But the point is that's data together with big massive data from the internet and other sources come into a massive infrastructure in the middle. And that infrastructure has changed and grown based upon the models, because whether you're into a foundation model, a learning model, an LLM, or a machine learning model, that has grown significantly, and the infrastructure ecosystem and investment around it has grown. Now, I want to make a simple point is that machine learning brought us here. Yes, machine learning is part of artificial intelligence, but we're on to the next stage of large language models and reasoning models together with what's happening in the foundation area. The ecosystem in AI is evolving very quickly with cloud, orchestration, APIs, and applications. What does that all mean? Greater output. And that output is not just to create fancy documents or cool pictures. It's really to create everything around process and decisions. That's the transformation that's happening in AI, and that's the growth that we're seeing. And that's the growth and opportunity we'll see in fiber today. Next chart. So AI accelerates value, and the hot areas I wanted to show quickly and hit. First one is RAG data. RAG data is really the ability to take data and make a better prompt from what you're using. And RAG data is really hot today, and companies that focus on that can create their own RAG data as an entity. So there's a lot of investment in management there, together with something called vector embeddings, which basically puts the RAG data in a vector so you can manage it. But the $1 billion that have come from the center. The growth of data centers is astronomical in terms of the investment and the opportunity for fiber. And of course, as I mentioned, we're seeing billions put into the model. Every day we see just a growth there. And now with the competition from the Chinese with DeepSeek, we're seeing a hypersensitivity to say we have to increase that area. But the hottest thing that for value in AI will be the agents. An agent simply is a software robot. It basically manages the data, brings it to the model, and creates something from it. So every industry is working on agents, and in the fiber industry, agents are hot today as they begin to optimize value, which I'll show. So the value is being accelerated, not to create things, but it's starting off with the optimization. That's what the initial value is right now. And of course, there's tons of money there of opportunity in the agencies and also the companies. Next one. And I'm moving along in the speedy way. Speedy way. Everybody likes that. So AI and fiber are perfect partners. A simple point is that as AI grows, greater fiber is needed. And then with greater fiber capacity, AI can scale exponentially. We're seeing exponential growth for AI because of the amount of data and the amount of use and new ideas that are coming with applications. AI innovation is transforming humankind. And so fiber enables that access. And then true fiber is touching millions of AI hungry subscribers. That's what's coming in the future. And so basically, in this next year or two, we're building an infrastructure to get ready for an explosion in the AI fiber home. So the perfect combination of AI and fiber is enabling AI. And we'll see later why it's the backbone of the AI economy. Next one. I'd like to hit on 3 areas quickly so we can leave time for questions. Data centers and AI. And when I say data centers, it's also the middle mile that's extended in the direction of the access network as well. We don't need to look any further than Microsoft, who spent and committed $80 billion on AI data centers in 2025, who is now tooling up 3 Mile Island for the nuclear power. But here is what's happening at the data centers as it relates to AI. There's a triad in the data center of power, chips, and fiber. That's what it is. You're basically trying to power a rack, bring it through processing chips, and bring it onto the fiber so you can move it on down the line. Power is dramatically limited just because of the availability of power. We talk about powered land today, and powered land is what's beyond coal-fired power, sitting next to a river for cooling, and sitting next to an area that can distribute the information and the AI. So that is not going to catch up for another 2 to 5 years, depending on who you talk to. Chips are limited. The cost of a chip and a processor, a GPU chip, is an order of magnitude higher than a regular processor. The availability of the chips, even the nervousness of threatening supply of chips from Taiwan to the United States, all of that means that the chips are limited in the ability to be put into racks and the ability to move forward to process AI. Well, what is carrying the load right now is fiber. Fiber and optimization is unlimited. We've seen major companies create an optimization around fiber in the data center and the interconnects as it relates to feeding the middle mile. Fiber is the hope and the gap filler that is filling the gap against the limitness, the issues of power and chips. And so, as one company says, it's the backbone of the AI economy. The simple point is that this is where the money is today for infrastructure as well as a utility. And so fiber is really shining through because there's 300,000 kilometers of fiber worldwide that's feeding everything. And this is an important part. Next one. 2 areas on optimized fiber network. As we move down into the access network, we see on the left-hand side that the agents are managing the data, the orchestration, and the models, as I mentioned before. But a key point is that those will work with humans at the helm. The optimized fiber network includes a human. There'll be augmentation to the human-led, but there'll also be a challenge to say, maybe the agent has an equal seat at the table with the human. And where we're seeing the breakouts right now of the optimization of cost savings of just simple time to manage alarms are in the NOC, network monitoring, and the last one actually is in chat. We can do better than chat. Chat creates a quality of service, but then you have a human involved that's trying to figure out what the chatbot is saying, talking to the human. Imagine now if you could just automate that together with an AI agent. And why that's important is you're learning from your network. Remember, AI is all about learning and taking that data and saying, hey, where are those faults happening? So it's a lot more than saying that when the temperature drops on a network in the community, that you'll have more outages. That's just a fact. We can learn better than that. And so the optimized fiber network is AI and humans working together. Next one. And so a little bit more complex chart, but I think the community really knows that as people, device data, and AI work together, you can automate and optimize. Shown at the top is the flow and the workflow when you provision, support, and then basically continue to work with your customers. And so that exists today under mostly machine learning optimization. But what's happening is that the devices are creating data, whether it's the OLT, the ONT, or the Wi-Fi router, which is a big area right now. We can collect data from that, bring that to cloud, and now create agents that are tied to those three areas. And those three areas now can be optimized, working together. So shown to the left is the machine learning, which is a simple data, go to a cloud portal and do a regression. That's a good thing to build on, but that's not going to be the future. What's the future is the agents automating the process to be able to augment, to free up that human to do better quality of support, and that'll have a downturn of quality experience. So right now, where is the money in the access network? Optimization of the network for speed and security. Next one. Finally, between the data center, the access network, and the networks, it's the fiber home. This is the most exciting part because what fiber does is with the symmetrical PONs that are being put down today, say even 1 gigabit or 10 gigabit PON, we're seeing a tremendous amount of data, the ability to move downstream. But the cool thing is the upstream. It's the ability for subscribers now to participate and add their own data to the model. So it's not a broadcast idea. It's really more a communication for the AI explosion that's happening. Every one of us are AI creators because we're participating with data for our own models. In telehealth, you'll have your own subscriber record and with your own videos that when you participate back, the AI will learn just for you. And so one of the great areas of growth will be in telehealth. Because of the downstream and the visual acuity of the systems, telehealth is probably one of the biggest promise areas for the AI home. Gaming is important. Gaming isn't just a lot of black t-shirt people playing games. It's gaming across the board where latency is really important. And finally, the most exciting one for me is education for all ages, is that as we bring education into the home, that's all about learning together with the machine. It's very clear that when we talk about learning, it's not just your brain or a book. The third area is going to be the AI that helps you learn as well. We'll need that in the digital home, and AI fiber is going to bring it home for us. So finishing, next one. It's like speedy. I like the speed. In conclusion, AI acceleration means billions of dollars of investment and major opportunity for fiber for a long time. Make no mistake, fiber is the best medium for AI because it's true all the way down from the data center to the access network into the subscriber home. And the ability to be able to bring that data back and forth is really important. But there's billions of dollars of investment today, and I would encourage anyone to look at participating in the data center revolution and start building your agents today. You have to build an agent. It's clear fiber is the backbone of the AI economy, not just in the United States, but worldwide. And so how does that really relate to the models as we're sharing models about not just in the United States, but in the world? I mentioned about the impact is high, and it's really just three areas on a summary. It's all about density, and fiber is covering the gap today between power and chips. It's optimization, where we're optimizing the network for a better quality of support, truly, and that downstream will be a better quality experience. And as I mentioned, watch this space. At AI Fiber Day, I'll be working with a provider to show different applications in the AI Fiber home, which is exciting. And finally, as Gary mentioned, there's a lot going on in the fiber community, but for AI, there'll be the report released this month. So look for that. I'll be sending a link out for that, as well as another study, but that's the major study that FBI has commissioned. And then secondly, the AI pre-conference at Fiber Connect on June 1st in Nashville. So there'll be a half-a-day conference, and I would encourage everybody to join there. So those are the main area, Gary. Left a little bit of time for questions or comments.
Yeah, no, it's always super interesting, Peter. So let's start with fiber. You talked about capacity, but when I look at, obviously AI data centers have to be close to power and fresh water. Um, what about latency? How does latency play into this?
Well, latency is really important, but it's that interplay between the data center and the interconnects into the regional data center. So that's where fiber is solving that really, really well today, both by terms of distance and also in terms of speed. And so that latency is solved to get to the data center. But latency down into the network, as we move to higher gigabit throughput, symmetrical, we're shortening the time for latency, and that just means the applications can now be real time. So latency is a huge thing, and only fiber can do that. But because of the symmetrical part, and when we see the 10 gigabit PON capacities coming back from the suppliers, it's exciting. It relates to real applications.
So as we're building out, broadband to rural communities, and especially now when there's, people are questioning fiber preference, what happens? Do we leave anybody that doesn't have fiber so they get, stuck with some other technology? Then they miss out on the AI home?
I think they do. And I obviously every medium has its own niche, but if you're thinking about satellites, it might be 80 megabits on a download. That's nothing compared to fiber. So I do think other mediums are going to leave people behind. They'll be connected to the internet, but the internet is a phenomenon that's important, but it's so 2010. We're in 2025 and beyond, and fiber is the medium that's going to allow that connection. Remember, it's participating back in your own model where somebody says they know me, and that's going to be the huge growth. Only fiber can do that. And even as cable comes up to their levels on the DOCSIS area, they'll hit a gap there. But the fiber allows you to participate back. So any connected home rurally, if they're connected, they're going to participate. Doesn't matter if you're down by the lake or you're in a low economic community.
So cybersecurity is a huge issue. Every day we get more threats. Bad actors are in trying to steal all your data, trying to, use social engineering to guess your passwords and just try to, especially when I look at my parents as they get older. Um,
Yeah.
so how can and especially when we're looking at another question that come in on quantum, so we're not very far off from quantum computers hacking the encryption on the internet. So how will AI, AI fiber home protect a subscriber from these threats?
Well, it starts with the network, and first of all, to know that the network tied to the cloud providers, the major cloud providers, they're committed to security, and the nature of the AI provides better security and governance. So just the nature of the AI together, it does that. When you get down into the digital home, when you begin to have a one-to-one relationship, then you can have better cybersecurity. The biggest threat to cybersecurity is attachments and emails. The threat is communicating with someone's trying to get to you. But when you have an individual relationship on a dedicated fiber, you can create a better security. It's your own private security on your own little glass of fiber. And so that's what will change. And so all of a sudden, the applications will not be email or text generated, that's the threat envelope. The threat envelope will be protected back at the data center and without any latency. And we can protect that much better because we can control that. So we become agents of that. So I think the cybersecurity is going to increase, not decrease, with greater fiber architectures.
So can you talk a little bit, a question that came in is quantum computers are very near. How would AI and quantum computing work together? And I would even put classical computing in there as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an expert on quantum per se for applications, but I can say is that the processing power of quantum is huge, and we can't predict that. So the first thing is that be assured that whatever comes out of a quantum computer, fiber will be able to carry that to the next step or to the next node. And if you think about processor chips and GPUs and quantum computing, that can be fed much more naturally. But the quantum computing will have its own advantages. But one is it's going to be able to manage mass amount of data. And so think about the models today. The models are processing trillions of transactions in the new models per second. So I see quantum computing as working together with the models. And then can fiber handle it? Yes. So I'm always relating everything back to fiber. So fiber and quantum are going to work incredibly together because of the sheer capacity and flexibility of fiber and the density of it. I think will be a good thing for the future.
Well, certainly quantum networking requires fiber, and especially it's not so much capacity related; it's all latency related. So that when you
Yeah.
start thinking about entanglement and kind of the capabilities of quantum computing.
Mhm.
So can you talk a little bit about like the initial applications for fiber, AI fiber homes? Is so from the electronics manufacturers, is this going to be and service providers, is that going to be more on when like I hear people that, and I even had this problem, you get gigabit to your house and then, why is it nothing works well? And then you realize that you have a crappy Wi-Fi mesh network. And so just the optimization between your ONT, your gateways, and your mesh Wi-Fi network, is that,
Yeah.
kind of the first
Well, it
stages of?
is. It's the first of all, it's having confidence in the Wi-Fi router. So the failure rate for ONTs and in the home is low, and that can be tracked. So really, a lot of the effort being put in by all the major suppliers is can we manage what's coming out of the Wi-Fi router to make sure that gateway, if you will, is perfect to handle all that capacity. So that's solving the first person. The second thing is the application itself. Applications were historically built for an older architecture, but now with the capacity coming down for gigabit, we can get more bits on the application. And it's all really about latency and amount of throughput. And so telehealth is an example where once you can get a beautiful picture back down, now you can have a beautiful thing back in the doctor's office. The connected home and different security devices, they'll have their own security, but remember those devices are older for the protocols of how they work together. So they're by their nature historically slow. And so they'll have to catch up from an AI point of view. But certain applications will be fit really well, the ones I showed in the AI fiber home.
I had a telehealth session last week with Vanderbilt, and the first thing it says before you even press go is make sure you turn, anybody that's gaming or doing anything in your house, make sure that no one else is on the internet.
Exactly.
Um, so not everybody has a fiber connection,
Well, it's
but
the upstream, right? It's the upstream. That's what they're trying to manage in your home. So yeah.
well, that's the other thing is, I was trying to share some data that came in from one of the tests I had done, and I was looking for my share button like you do on Zoom or anything else. And this telehealth, we're expecting it only to be from the doctor down, not from the patient up. But when you think about, just as we saw with YouTube, where, you went from being a consumer to a producer. So you're saying with AI applications, we will now be in position that everybody can be AI producers.
You're your own model. And what's interesting is that it's always difficult because you're fighting against a protocol from the health provider. They say this is what the data is saying. Not anymore. You'll have your own profile, but you have to send your own data and pictures and video back to your own model, and that model will just be specialized for you. And that's what's really exciting. We're creators of AI into the model now, and the upstream fiber allows us to participate that and nowhere before. And by the way, in education, the same thing is that now people can participate back and forth for their own learning. Imagine the understanding we're going to get now as we really truly connect information from people that are all over the United States.
All right, so we have a number of operators, we have a number of suppliers on here. Um, who should be looking at AI, and what are what's the step one, and what's kind of the initial applications? Like, let's start with the service provider. What should they be looking at with
I
perspective
think
of AI fiber
I
home.
hate to use the term low-hanging fruit, but clearly AI agents to optimize their operations to augment, because that's a competitive area now. Quality of experience in the digital home is competitive, both for churn and also services. And so optimizing their network, if you're an operator, you'll have to begin to look at your NOC and your network and predictive maintenance on the area. But the second area of growth from pure money, anyone working the middle mile for the interconnects. That's the golden area of fiber, in my opinion, because the data centers are pretty much set for the racks and built. But the optimization coming off the rack and even the optimization of the cabling on AI, because you can learn and then you can basically tie that to the learning, is a great area to work on. Digital home, it's watch this space. I think digital home is going to be a story that unfolds at the end of this year in 2026. But if people want to get in early, I think telehealth is the way to go. But for a service operator, network optimization, get your agents built as soon as you can.
So Peter, thanks so much. And so you're going to have a updated report on AI, the AI fiber home. You'll
Yep.
be at Fiber Day on the Hill, and then of course you're going to be leading a pre-conference workshop on AI and fiber. So this is definitely the year for people. If you're not already working on AI in your company, you better get going. So we'll be helping you guys get
Get
going on.
moving. Get moving.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks again, everyone. And hey, next week we're going to get together with Rusty Williams, the CEO of Utilities Technology Council, UTC, discuss working together for the betterment of communications industry. So you're not going to want to miss this. There's a lot going on with kind of the intersection of broadband and utilities. So thanks, everyone. And we'll see you guys next week.